Hey, good morning, my friends. This is MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. My headline there, we are tracking the next possible snow. Doesn't look like a monster snowstorm, but it certainly looks like it could have what I call one of these little compact um, swaths of snow across the central or southern part of the state. So we will see about that. I'm trying to get my phone to work so that I can see your comments and whatnot. But it may not work for me today. So, there we go. Hey, Ryan Lynch, good morning to you. He says, Mark. So I say, Ryan. Let's get into it, okay? So, right now, we got a few little decorative snowflakes falling here in Frankenmuth. Um, it's nothing that's going to, even mount to anything. Most areas in this area that's shown on the radar are seeing probably a rain shower or two, light at that, so no problems there. All right, so here's a big key for the winter, I think, shaping up, and I'm going to write about this actually tomorrow. Is which model is going to be best for the winter? And usually I look at it as a model in the early winter storms will kind of take charge, and then as we get in the middle of winter, it could be another model that works better, and then late winter, another model. So what I'm saying is we have a storm system coming this Friday, and I'm going to show you the differences between the European and the US model. And I think this will be a good litmus test for which model will be better early, the December and early January snowstorms. And unfortunately, usually it is the European. So that's what I'm going to dwell on here. So this is the forecast, the positions, okay? Um, so what you're seeing here is you're seeing obviously Michigan, the Great Lakes region. You see the red lines. Those are upper level temperatures at 5,000 feet that would be warm enough for rain. Then you see the blue lines, and if you get one or two lines into the blue lines, it would be cold enough aloft for snow. You can kind of see right now, this is the current situation, and it's showing the rain forecast, and it's showing how the northern edge could be snow like it is in Frankenmuth. Okay, so let's go through this. And as we go into tonight, that lift of showers continues in the zone from, Grand Rapids, Big Rapids, across Mount Pleasant to both Standish area and Bay City, Midland. So kind of showery today. And then tonight, that moves off. It's a very light pattern. Notice as we get into Thursday, a little bit colder air sneaks in, and that's important for the setup for Friday. Okay. This is Thursday, so Thursday should be a dry day. Now remember, this is the European model, and this is Friday morning, this is Friday afternoon, and this is Friday afternoon into evening. So right there, that's why I say, Friday evening, sunset, as the temperatures turn colder. Ha ha, Ryan, keep your day job. Um, so this is Friday afternoon into Friday evening, and then this is Friday evening into overnight as the storm moves on. So it's about a 6 hour snow. If it's a snow in any one spot, there you can see it, and it's across the southern half of the state, and then off by Saturday morning. Um, Sunday dry, Monday dry, the next storm system from the European. Now, this is pretty far out for this time of the year, but the next storm system tracks well to our north and west and initially brings some rain in and then comes around. But this is 10 days out, and we have some interesting weather, you know, wrinkles in the jet stream, I would say, coming up next week. So we'll deal with that. But first off, let's look at Friday again. Now, this is a different perspective. This is the European model again on its rain versus snow areas. So this is Friday morning, 8 a.m., and then 1 p.m. in the afternoon and 7 p.m. That's why I say Friday evening, Michael Jaskowitz, do I need to get the snowblower ready? Well, I don't think for Friday you necessarily need it. You could use it, you could test it out. If you're from Grand Rapids to Lansing to Alma to maybe Saginaw, Bay City, Flint, and into the Detroit suburbs and Ann Arbor area, you could test it out, but I don't think you'll necessarily need the snowblower, but you're going to need it at some point. Okay. So again, Friday, 7 p.m., something like this, the roads would get slick pretty quickly. And yes, Elizabeth Platte, that would be into the Muskegon area too. And then again, off to the east. And by the way, the next storm system late next week, as we start to look toward, traveling, um, that kind of track brings a rain in and then wrap around snow showers. But again, really far out. Now, remember I told you we're going to be comparing. So that should be fresh in your mind. European says a little compact area of snow coming across Friday afternoon into Friday evening across the southern half of the state. Not all of the southern half, but somewhere in there. Now let's look at the US model called the GFS, Global Forecast System. It's a pretty good model, but the European is a lot better, almost such that I rarely look at the GFS, but let's look at the difference. And again, this is why I say this will be a great way to track if any of the improvements they've made in the GFS actually overtake the European for accuracy. So here's Thursday night, here's Friday morning. Looks very similar to the European, except that it's warmer at the ground. And so it keeps it all rain. This is Friday afternoon. Late Friday afternoon, and then Friday evening. So you can see a very similar scenario, except with 38 to 40 degree temperatures rather than 35 to 32. What is more likely? Probably the European, with it having a tough time being snow early, and then changing over to snow toward sunset and seeing how much is left at that. Might just be 2 inches left of moisture. Carmelita Tiffany, I don't think this would be freezing rain because the surface is warm. This would be cold air coming down, and it would either be rain or snow. All right, so now I want to look at the temperatures with you off of the European, just to show you what is going on and how the snow could evolve. So as we get into this afternoon, we're looking at low to mid 40s in the southern half of the state, and Wednesday looks like 42 to 45 degrees. That's really not bad. Even 37 in Traverse City. Thursday afternoon, a touch colder by a couple of degrees. And then Friday afternoon, 34, 35. And what typically happens is it's not cold enough for solid snow in the afternoon. And then when you get to sunset, it drops to 32 or 33. And then the snow starts to accumulate. And with this quick, short window of precipitation, then you say, well, how many hours of snow are left after sunset? In my mind, it would be like 3 or 4 hours left, and you might get a ½ inch an hour, so you might be talking 2 inches. We'll look at that too. Okay, so here's the Europeans' total snowfall. Now, again, remember, I try to show you this. We always have to have this discussion. I try to show you this so you have some sense of what could happen. But it's 3 days out, folks. It's not going to be totally off. So some of you saying, well, why even show it until it's over? Well, that's, too, because we are very, very accurate. But, you take that 2 to 4 inch forecast, and if it's 5 or 6, you say, wow, that was way wrong. No, we're trying to give you an idea that there's going to be a swath somewhere in southern or central lower Michigan, probably of some accumulating snow. It's probably not going to be the world's biggest snowstorm, and it's probably not going to be something that will make roads okay. If you get 2 to 4 inches in the evening hours, you'll have some slick roads on Friday. So here is then that European snowfall forecast. And yes, you see a little dot of 6 inches by Lansing. You say, wow, we're going to get 6. I would still say that this needs to be kind of cut in half for melting. And that's why I'm calling it a 2 to 4 inch snow. And you know what? I got to say, that's why you need me. Yes, you need me. Because I learned this in my first meteorology job, Murray and Treadle in Chicago, a certified consulting firm back in the late 80s. They called it, now we didn't have all the models that we have now. We had a few models and they weren't accurate, but they called it situational forecasting. And it's true. What that means is I look at the scenario of a storm system and I say, what does this typically do for snowfall here in Michigan? And this one typically would be a swath of 2 to 4 inches. Yes, if it went crazy, you could get a little spot that recorded 5 or 6, but generally be 2 to 4. 2 would be pretty easy, 4 would be pretty hard. And that's why you need me, and you can't just live with computer models. First off, computer models have no personality either, right? Hey, thank you, Amber Stranahan. Just for you, a sunny summer day on the 4th of July. How does that sound? Boy, I wish I could do that. I would make some real money if I could bring some good weather to people. I'm not complaining, but so now this is the US model, the GFS, okay? Look at the difference. So remember, it is warmer at the surface. And one of the things is that the GFS is supposed to have a lot of layers and supposed to resolve and forecast the surface temperature better now. That's what they've been working on. And it has been cold. It's been known to be cold, but they're always tweaking it. So sometimes you don't know if the tweaks help until you see it for a month or so. So this will be an interesting canary in the coal mine litmus test, whatever you want to call it. We'll see if the European is better or if the GFS is better 3 or 4 days out, and that will help us with the winter. Whew. Aren't you glad you asked? Right? We're 154 strong. Hey, thank you, Bridget Kavanaugh. She says, yes, she likes my personality over the computer model personalities. But someday, probably the computer and computer models will have a way better personality than I will, because I'm getting older. My personality is going down like this, and the computers are learning how to get personality. So there will be a point at some time, about 5 or 6 years out, where the computers will be funnier than I am. And that's fine, because I'll retire then. Or I'll be like the Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain, or something like that. All right, so there you have it. Nothing as travel problems today, just some rain showers, maybe some occasional snow in there, but temperatures will be warm enough to melt it all off, not even have it stick, it looks like. And then dry for Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday we'll track our little mini snow system. How does that sound? Okay, thanks for joining me on the MLive Morning Weather Update. I have a couple of interesting posts for you today. I'm going to talk about a Greenland block that is going to cause what I call atmospheric constipation, and how it will affect us here in Michigan, and it will big time next week and into the end of December. And then I'm also going to show how we can track this little mini snow system with an upper level feature, and it's a real compact little upper level low that comes across, and usually that has a cold pocket of air with it, and then as the precipitation starts, it brings it down to the ground. It brings it down to the ground and changes the rain to snow, cools the temperature down a little bit. So thanks for joining me on the MLive Morning Weather Update. As always, please share. I would appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'm MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa.